lab leak is a theory with no evidence whatsoever.
There is zero evidence that this virus came out of a lab in China.
There's no suggestion that this was cooked up in some sort of lab.
There's no evidence that that conspiracy theory that we've heard going around was leaked from a lab.
Conspiracy theory that the Chinese made this virus up.
You have the lab in Wuhan.
There you go. In a lab.
An unsubstantiated theory. It's about a government laboratory in Wuhan that was the origin of COVID. Now, I've seen this kind of, stuff peddled in the right-wing media, and I still try to keep an eye on, but it's still stunning to read it.
There's just no evidence that anybody had it in the lab anywhere in the world prior to the outbreak.
One of Trump world's most favorite conspiracy theories. New York Times reports this, quote, senior Trump administration officials have pushed American spy agencies to hunt for evidence to support an unsubstantiated theory that a government lab in Wuhan, China, was the origin of the coronavirus outbreak. That's according to current and former American officials.
U.S. officials have yet to offer credible proof the virus came from the Wuhan lab, a theory that's also being shot down by Dr. Anthony Fauci for lacking any scientific evidence.
It's very, very strongly leaning towards this could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated.
Is a new, dangerous conspiracy theory. I mean, this is serious stuff, folks. Don't worry about your ratings for 1 week. Don't try to spool up some of whoever was wearing tinfoil hats in your audience. But that's what's happening. We're still, these conspiracy theorists are still saying things that are going to be extraordinarily dangerous for this country.
In the 1980s, I remember when the far left trafficked in rumors about HIV having been invented in CIA labs. The far right has now found its own virus conspiracy theory.
The conspiracy theories out there have essentially closed down communication between scientists in China and scientists in the US. We need that communication in an outbreak to learn from them how they controlled it so we can control it better. It's sad to say, but it will probably cost lives.
27 public health scientists from across the U.S. and the world wrote this letter in the journal Lancet, condemning conspiracy theories and citing scientific evidence, including the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, that supports the theory that overwhelmingly conclude that this coronavirus originated in wildlife.
There's evidence to strongly indicate that it is a natural occurrence, and zero evidence to indicate that it's a lab leak.
Just weeks ago, Dr. Anthony Fauci rejected the conspiracy that coronavirus was man-made in a lab in Wuhan, China. And yet this week, Donald Trump is still pushing the debunked bunkum. The virus was not man-made.
The growing consensus among America's closest intelligence partners is that this virus came from a market in Wuhan, not from the lab.
Everything about the stepwise evolution over time strongly indicates that it evolved in nature and then jumped species.
SARS-CoV-2 emerged from the wild into the human population, or has that not been proven yet?
Well, I'm a scientist, and what I do is I look at the evidence around a hypothesis. There is a huge amount of evidence that these viruses repeatedly emerge into people from wild animals in rural areas through things like hunting and eating wildlife.
The evidence from a diverse array of international evolutionary virologists feel rather confident that it was a natural occurrence.
And a new report is fueling a debate over how the COVID-19 pandemic started. The Wall Street Journal reports the U.S. Energy Department has concluded the pandemic most likely started with an accidental lab leak.
We've said it here. I remember Tom Cotton got attacked by some newspaper. I forget it. Maybe it was the Times. I forget who it was. For talking about the possibility of a lab leak. And we said on the show, we don't know. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't.